But we are back over here. Café Steve's Will Forsman. He's going to teach us some more latte art, but we're going to be put to the test here.
Yeah, I think we're gonna give it one more shot of showing you, or at least giving you the skills to be able to make your own latte. Okay. And I know you said you're not much of a coffee guy, but hopefully we're going to make you a little bit more of a coffee guy than you were at the start of it. So again, starting with our espresso, we're going to pull a shot. We're going to pull a separate shot for you later.
So as that's pouring, so this is, we're used basically for, we're kind of steaming or frothing the milk over here on the right?
Yep. So the steam wand actually is introducing a combination of water vapor and compressed air or superheated air. That's introducing that obviously heating up the milk, but it's also creating something called microfoam. So it starts as very large bubbles, but then as that vortex continues, it's making those larger bubbles into smaller bubbles. Microfoam at the end of it is not only a textural experience, so it's as we drink it, it feels really good, or we like the texture of it, but also insulates the drink, and that makes it the difference between more traditional styles of cappuccinos or lattes is going to be adding more foam, helps keep the drink hotter longer, and vice versa for a latte. If you're wanting something that is going to cool down a little bit faster, you might choose to do a latte.
Right.
So we'll add our steam in there. Obviously, a nice vortex is going to create that microfoam, bringing those larger bubbles down, breaking them up, and then creating that and doing it over and over and over again. And once we're at the right temperature, we'll stop steaming.
So is that just kind of a feel thing when you're at the right temperature?
It is, and it comes with experience. Obviously, if you're at home, you're going to be wanting to aim between that range of 145 to 155 degrees. And the reason being, if you start to heat your milk up too much, it's going to change the flavor of that milk. Those sugars start to break down. It also is going to break down some of those fat globules or any of the components of the milk that taste good, eventually making it so that it doesn't taste good. So again, pouring right to the center of that espresso, making big circles all the way around. And then as it's about halfway full, pouring right to the center. We're going to make that first stack, second stack, third stack. We're going to be not quite too ambitious today. Just do 4 stacks in total. That was not very good, but we're going to, for the purposes of news, it'll work. Good. So now we're going to have you give it a shot. I'm going to clean out our portafilter and get you a fresh espresso shot.
Oh boy, yeah. So while we were doing that, how long have you been doing this, and what kind of got you into it?
Yeah, so we opened Café Steam in 2015. I had worked my way up from a dishwasher and eventually was able to work into an ownership position. Really loved being able to make those connections with people over the counter and over a cup of coffee and meeting interesting folks from all over the world. One of the benefits of being in Rochester is that people are visiting for the Mayo Clinic, but they are coming from all over the world, and you get to participate in that exchange of ideas and meeting some really interesting folks. It's also a really good vantage point in Rochester. If you ever want to know what's going on in Rochester, ask your barista, because they seem to have a finger on the pulse of things that are going on, whether it's the music scene or any of the various activities that are happening on the weekends and so on.
Right. Yeah. Well, I'm sure that you've hear it all, and you probably, like you said, I mean, we got people from all over the world. You got Rochester natives. I mean, you kind of get a mix of everything.
Sometimes you hear too much.
So it comes with the territory, though.
It really does.
And that's the beauty of connecting with people, I suppose.
Absolutely. So our milk is hot enough for you. I'm going to pour out just a little bit to give you a little bit more room. Go ahead and grab that mug with one hand, holding it perpendicular away from yourself and pouring right to the center of that espresso. Okay. Big circles all the way around. There you go. You're actually doing pretty good. Tip that cup over just a little bit, and then start to make your design right at the center. Get it right down to as close to the surface as you can. Making 1 stack, 2 stack. You're doing pretty good, and a third. And we're going to draw it all the way through. That is pretty good for the first time. Now, it was a little bit of help, but you'll, in terms of the difference between the two, it's pretty good.
That might be only the 3rd cup of coffee I've ever made. I'm being dead serious. Both the first 2 were not for me.
That's better than many baristas too.
Yes.
So.
Well, it's definitely good. And so one more time, you have the art competition coming up. Talk about that to plug it one more time.
Latte art competition coming up this Friday, the 23rd. Sign-ups start at 6 o'clock, and the first pour starts at 7 o'clock. Now, obviously, we've got a weather system coming in, but and we want people to be cautious as if they do decide to make their way to this event. But we're still planning to host it, and we're excited to meet some new baristas and some old friends.
Yeah, we certainly are, and a great way to stay warm.
Absolutely.